Welcome back to the Life Imitates series. This is part 3 of Divide and Rule, the invisible side of the triangle. In this final part, we expose the last side of the triangle, control. When fear is planted and division is produced, control becomes easier, but the triangle can be broken. Today, we look at how truth, discernment, responsibility, and love begin to break what fear and division were designed to build.
Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. I'm incredibly glad you're here in our study group today because we're jumping right into something that's honestly everywhere right now, societal division. But we aren't just going to talk about the problem. We're going to act as an interactive guide to understanding and absolutely resisting that division. Today, we're exposing how invisible control actually works, and we're going to look at how a very specific, toxic triangle of manipulation can finally be broken.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Have I been taught to fear someone I was called to love? I want you, as a group, to just take a quiet second and really sit with that. It's a heavy thought, right? It kind of forces us to ask, are our reactions to the people around us entirely our own, or have they been manufactured by something we can't even see? So, here is our agenda for the workshop. First, the invisible triangle exposed. Second, asking who really benefits. Third, the power of discernment. Fourth, neighbor love as resistance. And finally, breaking the triangle together. Basically, we're moving deliberately from exposing the hidden mechanics of control to taking actual, actionable steps toward restoration. Starting with Section 1, the invisible triangle exposed. Now, it's super important to realize that manipulation isn't just random chaos. It has a very specific, invisible pattern that's actively damaging our communities, and we literally need to drag that pattern out into the light. Here's the exact step-by-step progression of how this control takes hold. Number 1, fear enters the heart. Once that fear gets a foothold, step 2 hits. Division enters the relationship. And then comes step 3, control enters the system. It's wild, because by the time we even realize what's going on, this totally silent process has already drained our trust, our unity, and our shared strength. And here is the truly profound danger in all of this. Anger without discernment can be led anywhere. Now, don't get me wrong. Justified anger is completely real. There's real injustice and real pain out there in the world. But when that pain gets hijacked by planted fear, man, people can be manipulated into excusing injustice, defending the very things that hurt them, or fighting completely the wrong battles. We just end up fighting each other, while the actual root problems don't get touched at all. Which brings us to Section 2, asking, who really benefits? Now, what's really interesting here is that if we want to break out of this cycle, we have to pivot. We have to start asking those really uncomfortable questions that expose the manipulation system itself. So let's think about this first question together as a group. Who benefits when communities and workers fight each other while powerful systems profit? Seriously, think about how wealth and institutional power just stay perfectly insulated and protected when working-class folks are convinced to turn around and blame each other, rather than looking up and questioning this system. Let's bring it even closer to home. Who benefits when families and churches divide over politics or personalities? It's honestly a tragedy. We're seeing broken conversations and lost missions right inside our most intimate, sacred spaces. We literally stop seeing neighbors and we start seeing enemies. And generationally, who benefits when young people inherit suspicion instead of wisdom? When older generations dismiss the pain of the young, or the young completely ignore the warnings of the old, well, that serves this whole divide and rule system perfectly. The generations are interrupted, and control gets that much easier. Okay, so how do we stop this? Section 3. The power of discernment. This is the good part, because we're pivoting from the problem to the solution. Learning to actually spot the lie is the very first step to breaking it. Because, you know what? People who can discern fear cannot be easily manipulated by it. So, the crucial point here is that we're dealing with one of the oldest, simplest lies in history. Your neighbor is your enemy. If a group of people can't ask hard questions, they are ridiculously easy to control with a simple little lie just like that. If we want to reclaim our communities, we absolutely have to dismantle this historical falsehood.
And a great way to ground this discussion is with this scriptural anchor from Ephesians 6:12. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. It's a reminder for all of us in this group to look for those deeper patterns. When we remember that the person next door isn't a flesh and blood enemy, we can actually see when fear is being intentionally planted, instead of just lashing out at the people around us.
Moving into Section 4, Neighbor Love as Resistance. Now I want to reframe something for you. Loving your neighbor, it isn't some weak, soft, or passive command. It is actually an incredibly robust, active form of resistance against this entire machinery of division.
Let's be crystal clear about what neighbor love actually is, and what it isn't. It definitely does not mean ignoring the truth or pretending real harm hasn't happened, and it sure doesn't mean you have to agree on everything. What it does mean is absolutely refusing to let people become just labels or objects of fear. We can hold on to truth and human dignity at the exact same time, even during our fiercest disagreements. We just refuse to let disagreement erase someone's humanity.
Which leads us straight into Section 5, breaking the triangle together. Let's see how this all builds into actionable daily responsibilities for everyone in our study group today. How do we take all this awareness and actually live it out?
Here is a highly practical checklist of discernment questions we can use every single day as neighbors. Ask yourself, what am I being taught to fear? Who am I being taught to blame? Who benefits if I believe it? And what truth am I refusing to examine? Running through these questions deliberately helps us step right out of pure emotional reaction and back into clear, grounded wisdom.
Because look, we have to stop arguing about the symptoms while totally ignoring the root. Now, I want to acknowledge right here, real injustice, massive economic pressures, real betrayal, they absolutely exist, no doubt. But we have got to guard against letting that legitimate pain be redirected at the wrong target. If we just aim at each other, the actual source of the pain stays completely protected.
And this brilliantly illustrates how we actively flip the script. We interrupt the pattern. Truth literally interrupts fear. Listening interrupts suspicion. Justice interrupts oppression. Love interrupts hatred. These aren't just nice words. They are specific, actionable virtues that systematically strip control of its power. That is exactly how the invisible triangle breaks.
But listen, we've got a profound generational responsibility moving forward. The saying goes, life imitates what it sees, right? So if we're constantly modeling suspicion, the next generation is going to inherit division. If we model fear, they inherit anxiety. My challenge to this group today is this. We have to step up and model truth, humility, and courage. That way, the next generation inherits a future where people are a whole lot harder to divide.
As we wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you with these final, provocative choices. The future is literally watching to see what we choose. What's it going to be? Fear or truth? Division or understanding? Control or responsibility? Hatred or love? The triangle of manipulation absolutely can be broken, but we have to see it first. Take these questions, hold on to them, and let's use them right now to transition the room into a really honest, deep group discussion.